Welcome to the Nerdist Podcast number 695. So, Comic-Con is right around the corner, and we're doing a ton of stuff there. I'm going to be releasing my full panel moderation and live appearance schedule soon at Nerdist.com. But Nerdist itself is doing a ton of stuff. I think we're doing 6 or 7 different types of panels. We're doing a thing called Nerdist Carnival over at Petco Park, where it's us and Felicia Day's Geek and Sundry and Amy Poehler's Smart Girls, and it's basically just all day and nighttime events of games, laser tag, live podcasting, all sorts of super fun stuff. So go to that. Fun, comfortable stand-up Friday night of Comic-Con, 7:30. 2 Nerdist podcasts live at the same venue as the stand-up, the Balboa. The 7:30 show has the guests Sir Ben Kingsley and Peter Capaldi. If you're a Doctor Who fan, if you listen to this podcast, I imagine that you are. And then we're about to announce our guests for the second show, and they're super rad. I just can't just yet. Everything kind of has to be approved, like the announcement has to be approved and all that. So next week we'll announce it. But get tickets for that for the 10 o'clock show. And hopefully we'll see you there. Comic-Con is an onslaught, but it's usually the most fun thing of the year, just all at once. Just a blunderbuss of fun shot directly at your brain. And some other stuff from the Nerdist Community Corkboard. Tom Wilson writes, I would like to invite everyone to the first Jazz Age lawn party at the Glen Ford Mansion in Philadelphia. On August 1st, we'll be hosting an all-day family-friendly event including live jazz bands, old-timey cars and bikes, lawn games, costumes, food, and custom cocktails, and pie. Yes, pie. Proceeds from the event will go toward preserving the Glen Ford Mansion as a publicly available historical site. The website is jazzageonthedelaware.com. They're looking for steampunks, diesel punks, anyone with a love for the Roaring Twenties as well to attend. Also, Matt Avila writes, I produce a comedy show in Pomona, California called The Comedy Thing. We're celebrating our 2-year anniversary at DBA 256 Bar, featuring a bunch of fantastic comics on June 28th. If you can't make the date, the show is monthly every 4th Sunday of the month. This episode is Mr. Ben Folds, who is so wonderful. This is his 3rd appearance on the podcast. And Ben was the first one where we, quote-unquote, tricked him into, where I was like, why don't you just go into a music studio? And we sort of tricked him into playing a bunch of songs after the podcast. And then we started doing musical podcasts after that. So Ben is currently on tour. He's actually playing... today is Saturday the 27th. He'll be tonight at the Greek Theater. And he's touring with Y Music, which is they sound. We saw them at Bonner. They're phenomenal together. But all the info for his tour can be found at benfolds.com. This is going to be a particularly, I'm going to say, magical performance for the Greek Theater because of sort of the chamber orchestra vibe to it. So check that out. All right, here's the Nerds Podcast number 695 with Benjamin Folds.
Now entering Nerdist.com.
Katie, are you recording? Does it sound okay? What did you... What?
Jump right into this.
This is how this works. We're here at SIR Recording Studios, and you were going to play, and then you had to go and mess up your hand in a horrible way that prevented that from happening.
You grab a drone out of the sky?
Did you grab a drone like Enrique? Did you see the Enrique Iglesias video?
No.
He was at a concert in Mexico City performing, and there was a drone, and he went to grab it, and it just
sliced through his hand. And he's trying to play it off, but it's just like
too much blood.
And then there's a shot of him, his hand is bandaged, and his shirt is like blood spots on it, and he's still doing the show.
Hey, that's nice.
Yeah.
Hey, that's nice.
Would you dance?
That's what I did.
Oh my God! Why would you?
I didn't know about the other accident. No, I don't know. I messed my hand up. It's repetitive, and so I had this little bandage on it to hold it together because it's just I've played too much, I guess, over my life.
Yeah.
And I play really hard and I stretch it for him. And then I played for about 8 hours. I played with a symphony orchestra last weekend, and I kept the bandage on, and that was a mistake. So that's how I injured myself, is playing with the bandage on, because
Your hand wasn't used to that.
And saving an orphan from being run over by a car. So it was part of it was heroic.
And piloting a drone towards Enrique Iglesias.
I had to take one for the team.
You do play hard, because I remember seeing, and I got a sense that you played hard, but then the first time you were on the podcast and we were up close to you, your fingers were actually really tender because you had played the night before without
without bandages, right?
And so, and then you were, and because you really lean lean into it. It's fun as shit to watch. I'm sure it probably.
It's just something you can do with the piano. So you can't put enough weight into it. Like, it still keeps it's so dynamic that you can just keep getting sound out of it when you play it harder. So I've always stood up because I don't weigh enough to get what I want to hear out of it unless I stand up and I put my weight into it. So most people I know that play piano have had some kind of repetitive injury, and I just never have, and now I have, and it's kind of embarrassing. I feel like a total wuss.
No, not at all. But there's something really percussive about it. Like, there's almost like a percussion element to.
Oh, it's a percussion instrument.
It is. Yes, it is in a way.
Yeah. No, it is.
No, it's just that's what it is.
No, I understand.
No, it is.
But I'm saying if you were to say name all the percussion instruments, you wouldn't say
I'd
piano.
start with piano.
Yeah.
No, you
And
wouldn't.
I'd move on to drums.
Okay, no, you definitely would not do that.
I would say
Outside of trying to make
Congo,
this point.
conga,
Uh-huh.
bongo,
Then what?
piano again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yes.
Bassoon.
Bassoon.
But I was just in I was in Mozart's birth house in Salzburg, and
badass.
there's he has the harpsichord that he composed the magic flute on, and it really made me want to find an antique harpsichord with black keys because they're so fucking cool
I think
looking.
I was there years ago. It's in a little it's like a little he was in a little room.
Just like an apartment building.
Yeah. That's cool. That's neat you saw that.
Is there any difference playing the harpsichord than playing a piano?
Completely opposite, because it doesn't have any dynamics at all. So a harpsichord is like it's plucked.
It's plucking the strings.
Yeah, and you can hit it as hard as you want to, and it doesn't pluck them. That was the big invention about the piano, was that it was something that had dynamics, and that was the first. And then I abused that dynamic.
So what are you? I mean, how do you not be paranoid of your hands all the time, of like not slamming them in a door or not? I mean, like, it's so much.
I never have really been. I mean, I don't do things like play basketball or I don't know, certain things. I don't play with lawnmower engines or anything.
You don't backyard wrestle.
None of
no street fighting.
No, those are okay. I'm most worried. I'm most worried about basketball and screwing around with engines and certain things. But I haven't been all that careful, to tell you the truth. And I thought it was best not to be. But I guess I shouldn't have worn that bandage last week. That's all.
So now the direction is to not wear a bandage for your injured hand for a while.
Seems to be. I mean, I think I'm just supposed to stick it in an ice bucket once every couple hours.
Yeah.
Take anti-inflammatories and not play, and then we'll see if I can play. I've got a gig with the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra, I guess, this weekend. So I'm going to try to do that.
Holy shit.
You wrote there, kids.
You wrote a symphony.
I wrote a piano concerto, yeah. 3-movement piano concerto. And that's probably when this started, because I was practicing like 8 hours a day in order to be able to perform what I wrote.
Holy shit.
So over that time, I've never practiced before, really. You know, I played drums.
Yeah.
Back to the percussion thing. That was my thing. I did practice that. But piano's always been sort of, just something I spent time doing, but I wouldn't call it practice. So I had to practice in order to get this piano concerto working. But, now I've got a piano concerto on my album, which I guess is what everyone's doing these days.
All the kids.
All the kids doing it now. I'm doing it too.
Billy Joel wrote one, and he had to have somebody else play it.
He wrote a bunch of etudes.
Yeah,
they're pretty cool. He didn't play them. Yeah. I can see that happens because you have a theory of what it is you want to hear, and then that's different from actually performing it.
Yeah.
Quite different. But no, I had to practice a lot, and we premiered it, I guess, at the beginning of this last year.
How do you know if you write an etude but you can't play it? Do you just hand it to someone else and go, tell me if this sounds good? Because you can understand if you understand music, you can you can look at it and go, okay, this probably will work.
But you can input the notes into a computer and it'll play the general idea of it. Computer, yes. Computer says yes. You put it in.
Is that what you do? Is that what you did?
Yeah, I heard it all coming out of computer, but I didn't like that for a lot of the orchestration, so I would kind of shut that down, shut my brain out of that, because your mind has imagination, but ideas of what you might want to hear. The computer has a very definite, a set of gestures that it goes through to play that, and you begin to write for that Tronish sound because it pats you on the back for you. You're a successful demo tape when you do the things that it likes you to do. So I didn't want to do that. So we used it, but I tried not to overuse it.
Well, how is expressing some sort of an idea through a concerto different than anything else?
I don't think it is that different. I think that the art form itself requires a little more. An orchestra is pretty intense. Orchestration is intense. That would be like the longest podcast ever if you got me talking about orchestration, because it's something I'm really interested in, but I don't know shit about it, that's when you find people talk the most about things, is when they don't know. But it's like there's so much to know about it. It's like it's a massive synthesizer where you just have all of these. You got so many sounds that you can make with it. So to me, I just wrote instrumental songs basically and orchestrated them in the way that I would like to hear. That's as simple as that. I mean, I think it's a decent piece of music actually. And I've been playing it like as part of my set, and it works. But it takes a full orchestra. But I've been playing with orchestras the last couple of years.
How long is it? How long does it run?
The whole piece, if you do it front to back, is 23 minutes.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Well, that's got to be fun though, because it's a completely new thing for you to do on stage and show people like, hey, I mean, like it's kind of a new tool set.
And as much as it seems like it would be, in theory, when I perform it, it just seems like one of my new songs. There's something about it that just seems like, I don't know, people that are familiar with my music would probably not be surprised if they'd listened to Reinhold Messner and then heard this that would sound like the same dude.
Well, yeah, there was that version of Smoke you did it with Australian orchestra. That one was it's funny because it was like a completely different song. It was almost like it was just referencing the original, but how much more you could bring into it with that,
Yeah, and you can really make them vulgar. That's the thing. It's like you can overdo it with the orchestra. I've been playing with orchestras as one of my main shows for like the last 10 years. That's one of the main things I did. So last time I played LA was with LA Philharmonic 2 nights at it wasn't the Roxy.
It's the Bowl, right?
It was the Hollywood Bowl. I couldn't remember the name of the place.
Oh, that little place?
Yeah.
How does that work though? Like when people play with orchestras do you send them the stuff and then they're ready for when you come into town, or do you get there early to?
Yeah, they got a real system. They're organized with all the material when you get there, but they haven't rehearsed it usually.
Yeah.
So we get a 2-hour rehearsal, 3-hour rehearsal, and a little break, and you play your show.
No fucking way.
Yeah. So what happened? Part of the thing with my hand is I did a 3-hour rehearsal. Then the mayor was sitting in on one song. The mayor of South Bend. I was playing South Bend, Indiana. It was like their 150th birthday. It was really fun. And then the mayor's the youngest mayor in the country. He's 32 years old, and he wanted to play on one song. So I had to sit and work with him a little bit. And then there was a girl we had who was sitting in on vocals who had never sang before. So I had to work with her. So really, all said, no, I just sat and played all day long with that thing.
Wow.
But orchestras, you have to practice the same days. You have to play 2 shows, in a day. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm getting used to it. So.
Playing with the mayor, that does sound like something that would happen in Amadeus, where it's like you get to that city, and they're like, "Well, you now have to play with the chancellor."
Yeah,
and it's like, okay.
Well, that happens. That happens in Amadeus, where the emperor's like, "Do you mind if I try?"
Yeah, exactly.
And Salieri's like, "I would be honored."
Yeah.
Like he clearly isn't honored,
Yeah.
but he's like, "Of course." And then he can't. Like that was very close, Excellency, very close.
Yeah.
And now my nephew, who's not quick, Here.
Yeah, it's funny. That's the kind of gig you get that on. Here, the Rolling Stones didn't have people come.
Yeah.
Man's gonna play
Do
the
you
guitar.
mind if
Yeah.
I can't get no satisfied. Are we all in the same?
I run
key?
the Chamber of Commerce here in this town, and I would be delighted if you let me play the klezmer.
You're not getting out of the state if you don't let me sing on your song, Mr. Jagger.
Mr. Jagger.
Mr. Jagger. Where's your tour taking you all summer?
All over the place. We're playing here at the Greek. And I don't know. We're taping this, so I don't know what today is. What's today when they
June
release
1st.
this?
Oh,
No.
no. Great
I don't
question.
know,
No
actually.
idea.
What's the theoretical
Katie
day?
knows. Soonish. Yeah,
When's that Greek show?
June 26th.
So today is June 26th. Tomorrow we're playing the Greek.
Holy shit!
go.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I think I'm in town. I'm coming to that.
You just got yourself 2 motherfucking tickets. to the Greek, bitch!
Fuck yeah! So,
Funny, I said I was going too, and
Well, you said you were going first.
well, you know,
Did you?
no, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
Did
I
someone say something?
didn't, no, I didn't.
You just
I
got
didn't hear
yourself
that.
1 motherfucking
I have a wife.
I could take you as my +1, but I'm going to take Lydia.
Mhm.
But I could. I mean, it's possible, but I'm probably going to take.
No,
Lydia.
you're
No,
gonna
no, no,
take
no.
it.
I
We
like
know,
to
we know.
support music. I'll buy
Yeah,
a ticket.
no, I'll buy a ticket
I
too.
can put you
No, it's
boys
fine.
in.
No,
No, no.
we'll all pay.
We're buying them.
Which songs do you want us to come up and do with you?
A couple Mozart.
Blah, 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 blah.
Play the magic fruit.
Whatever Garcetti turns down. He's the mayor.
Oh yeah, he'll be up there for sure.
Yeah.
And actually,
He's the mayor. I've been living here. I didn't know that. Thank you.
it'd be fun, just like during a whole show, you don't actually do any of your songs. Just members of the city council, like everyone gets to come up and weigh in on
It
there.
could. It should be one big rock this bitch night.
I saw Tom Petty at the Bowl years ago, and half of the show was a Steve Winwood concert.
Really?
Yeah, he played like 15 minutes, and he's like, "Hey, Steve Winwood's here," and then like he brought up, and then just like half an hour.
That's
And then-
great.
Yeah, yeah, it was a
I
lot of
like
fun.
that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, you could tell they were having like a really good time.
Someone at the record label years ago went crazy in one of the Australian territories and got me a #1 song where it was played nowhere else in the world but there, and they just played it to death. So she's like, "But you have to come down and play this Valentine's special in Adelaide, Australia." Of course, I lived there for a while, but I had to fly all the way to Adelaide for one little gig at some pub where it was like only for winners, and no one had any idea what I did, and they were talking over the whole thing and
Oh,
being
shit.
rude. So after the first song, I just started playing country covers, and I played like an hour, and I didn't realize how many country songs I knew. I played for like an hour and a half playing country songs, and then when I ran out of that, I played polkas, and I had no idea.
That's
Got
fantastic.
back on the plane and went 15 hours back home.
Oh,
Worst gig I ever played, but
30 hours of travel just to.
just to play Tonight the Bottle Let Me Down. Thank you. That stands for soy and not scam, I guess, right?
Soy.
Soy. And we're taking a break.
Just a quick little sip break. Katie, clip out the sip break.
No, it's
you do
real.
You guys don't have those cough buttons anymore.
But this isn't coughing, though.
No, it's not
Coffee.
God.
Shut up, Matt. Katie, just leave in where I tell Matt to shut up, but don't justify why.
I forgot I was going to bring a snare drum and a cymbal last time. I did think to do that.
You were gonna do that?
Yeah,
You're
I
gonna
wanted to just
do
go
some,
to the-
just some
just
rim
be able to
shots?
do that,
Just some
yeah.
fun rim shots?
Yeah.
Do you in your shows? Do you jump behind the drum kit?
Yeah. I do that sometimes. You don't have your button.
I know.
I do when I play solo shows sometimes. Just the piano. Then in the middle of a song, I just run to the drums for a little while and then come back.
Are you playing anything from the last Ben Folds 5 record, or is it just?
The thing that we're doing in the Greek is I made the record with a classical sextet. So, and they're called Y Music, and that sounds like not as much of a rock album that it actually is. It's poppiest thing I've done in forever, but it just involves classical instruments instead. So yeah, we'll play songs from the new record, we won't play. I don't think any of the concerto. I played that last time when I was here with the Philharmonic. I played a movement from the concerto, and then yeah, we'll play some old shit and some new shit.
I still sing "Do It Anyway" to myself It's so fucking. It
'Cause you're
just.
in the video, or
Well, no, I know you would probably think that was the reason, but
No.
it's so catchy.
I'm with Jonah. I think that's the reason he's thinking.
Well, what you guys think doesn't really matter.
We know.
You've come a long way. This is good.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
you really learn how to shit on your friends.
You were shitting on me first. What are you talking about?
That's just an honest question.
I learned to turn
Christopher.
back around and re-aim the shit found in your direction. But that
Now he's back.
no, that-
Had a breakthrough, and then
I did. Oh man,
that's okay.
one step forward, three steps back.
Right back up.
Oh, fuck.
I like that song. I'm glad we did that video because you don't have many chances these days to do a proper video. Like most of the time, if you do a video anymore, unless it's Kanye West video or something, it doesn't have a real shoot.
Right.
You scrape together a little bit of money and go out and do something. And this had a reason to do it. Like there was a reason there, which made it really fun. And to work with puppets, they take the heat. You know what I mean? Like they're the entertainment. You just have to kind of sit there, bemused, and play. I thought it was really fun.
So because you obviously you can't make a video for the concerto. So
Oh, we're thinking about it. One
Really?
of the ideas we had for one of the movements was a fight to the death with the piano, where the piano would win, and it could be kind of cool because the concerto sounds like that. It sounds like there's a fight between the person and the piano.
Would it be the whole 25 minutes?
No, it would just be one of the movements, which is one of the movements is very short. It's about 4.5 minutes, so it would work like a pop song would. I mean, we can play since I've fucked my hand, and I'm not going to play anything live. I do have the record. We can play bits and pieces of some of that stuff.
all right.
And you can hear what the concerto sounds like because it's just like a song with no one singing.
Do you need like a nice juicy chunk of something new and challenging like that every time you go out on tour to make it? Because it is touring is very monotonous.
Yeah.
But if you have something to look forward to, I get to do this tonight, or I get to try this in front of these people, like is that kind of what rejuvenates you through the tour?
I think you have to be, or I don't know if anyone else, it seems like one would have to be a little bit uncomfortable with anything that you're doing that's new. I mean, because I think everyone makes a first album. A band makes a first album, and they didn't really know what they were doing. You just don't know what you're doing. You're just discovered it, and everyone's like, "That's amazing," and then you feel like you need to do that over and over again. That the youthful thing to do is to act like you were young, but the thing is, it's like you need to go into the unknown, make something that maybe seems to you like some kind of old man shit, like writing a concerto. I mean, that's great old man shit, but it's scary to me. I've never done it before, so I approach it with an innocence and a good healthy dose of holy fucking shit, because I kept on trying to quit this project, but I did it on a commission from Nashville Ballet and Nashville Symphony Orchestra and Minnesota Orchestra. And, if you know these organizations, once you take your money, they'll hurt you.
If you don't deliver?
Yeah, if you don't deliver on time, they'll hurt you. So I tried to quit a couple times. Once because I'd had a dentist appointment and it didn't feel good. And I was, when you have all the drugs, and I called up with cotton and stuff in my mouth, and I tried to quit, and it didn't work. So, but I finished it eventually. I tried to do 15 seconds of music a day is what I tried to orchestrate.
Oh, wow.
So if I kept my 15 seconds a day up, I would finish it. Like 9 yards of music that I spun. But it's an interesting way to do it because it's like the way Stephen King says he writes his novels, no fucking idea what he's going to end up with. He just starts at the beginning with sort of a premise. And a lot of people think that they know where it's going to end. I had no idea where this was going. I would just go, oh, that's my idea for the day. Let's make it real. And it is now. And it sounds like a real piece. I've totally fooled everyone. It sounds like music. It sounds like music.
Suckers.
Yeah.
But by the time you got to the end of it, did you then go, okay, now I have a sense of this, and then go back and then kind of tweak?
I did on one of the movements. Thing is about a concerto or a symphony is that you're taking an idea and you're exploring it for 20 minutes. Where a pop song takes one idea and repeats it for 3 minutes, just simply repeats it. There's no real exploration of the idea, but da 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 da. Da 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 da. Like these are the motif, and you can find it all over the piece, like in the low brass and everywhere throughout the piece.
Was that Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was off of Red.
That was her fifth symphony. But it's hard to. Yeah, it was really compressed. The recording
Exclusively at Target.
There's a. I went kind of down a rabbit hole the other day of this. Do you know a piano player by the name of Chili Gonzalez?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he does this series of
So good.
breaking down pop music. And he starts it off by saying, I'm Chili Gonzalez, musical genius. And this is, I think it's called like Pop Matters or something like that, where he basically takes, he'll take like Shake It Off and go, here are all the musical reasons why this works. And then, of course, this part repeats here and it ends on this kind of a chord. And then he'll play it and it's fucking and then it's stunning where it actually sounds like he's actually made it sound like a piece of classical music the way he's seamlessly playing it.
Well, he's on to something, because if you have an idea that's worth repeating for 3 minutes that people can go around and sing, it's a good melody. There's nothing worse about that melody than there is about a classical music piece. It's just that the classical music piece has to continue to develop the idea. So what Mr. Gonzalez is doing is just developing the idea. And he's good at that. Like, he takes a simple idea on his, like his instrumental solo piano pieces. Those are brilliant. And they're so simple.
Do you have an idea in your head of what it is? Or is it just, well, the music feels like it should do this? Or do you start going, oh, this is representative of spring and an orange tree blooming? Like, do you have that much of an idea? Like
I did for one part of the first movement was based on something my dentist told me about. It was during that time because I'd had this dentist appointment and I had teeth pulled and stuff. But he was telling me about growing up in Kenya and how you would know to be afraid because the crickets would get quiet. So when the crickets shut up, you didn't realize, all day long it's this den of bugs that you're listening to. And then when they get quiet, that's when it's scary because they know the predator's coming, but you don't have to explain to anyone. You inherently know that silence means, holy shit, some big dude's coming to eat me. So I thought that would be interesting to have the winds all clicking like bugs, and then they're hushed by timpani. So there are a couple of parts that are kind of a soundscape of sort of program music about being in the jungle. But I don't think that's what someone's going to think that it is. But I think that if a dynamic, because dynamics are human, that if a child knows to be afraid when the crickets get quiet, that there's something musical about that. I mean, this is where music came from, is people trying not to get eaten in the jungle, I think, really, if you think about it. It's a communication, and it's like, where is that? Like, where's that thing? Where'd that sound come from? You have to, these are all musical ideas,
I almost wonder if what it would be a fun experiment to just watch a bunch of footage of random things on silent and just kind of try to score them to just see what, just like watch astronaut footage or watch nature footage or watch, watch bugs mating or something. Yeah. And then just take like a 3 or 4 minute chunk and then just try to score and then just try to score it as a way to come up with something that, like if you really are trying, you're like, I really need to write something today, but I just don't have any ideas. Just write well,
you're on to something. I think that's really, I think there's really something to that. And what prompts you to have a musical idea. That may or may not be it, but it'd be an interesting thing to do. At the same time, like there's some people who like to watch Wizard of Oz and play Dark Side of the Moon together.
Right.
And actually, that's kind of cool. There is a collision going on of cadences, like you're seeing something visual and then you're hearing something else, and people tend to cadence along. Like they say, every 20 minutes in a conversation there's a lull. Mm-hmm. I mean, with me it's usually every 20 seconds, but every 20 minutes that happens. And I think with a piece, like an album is going to arc at the same rate at many times as any other piece of art. We were watching like just random modern dance today with my music, because thinking about putting together some kind of dance video, but it's more interesting to watch the collision of what the hell happened by accident in a way than it is to just cause it yourself. So if you're watching something you're scoring, it's like there was a movie that I don't think it did that well over here called About Time. Did great in Europe. It's a Richard Curtis film. It's a great movie, and he based a lot of the movie around my song "The Luckiest," and it was just huge because the movie was so good and it understood the song so much better than I did when I wrote it. I saw something about the song that I had no idea was in it, and it was so cool to see. If someone had said, here's About Time, it's a movie about this and this and this, go off and write a song, I would have never written that song to that. You know, so it's just, what do you connect it to? Who knows?
Was that the one where he like kind of go back in time? Yeah, that was. Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
No, I like that movie a lot. I think it's in a way, it's one of those things where maybe right now wasn't the right time for a time movie, and all the American criticism of it seemed to be, well, if you really went into a time machine, then you would come back and these things would happen. When it's really just about a combination of, like it was just about how you spend your time.
Yeah,
just about life.
Yeah,
it was a good way to get that across. But the movie had nothing to do with fucking time machine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I really I thought maybe movie critics weren't as dumb as music critics, and turns out they are. So,
well, there is something. Someone wrote an article about. I don't remember who it was, but and to be fair, I didn't read the whole article. Someone just sent me the headline of it, and I was like, "That's a very weird headline." Where it said it was about the last episode of Mad Men, where it said. It doesn't matter what the creator says about Matt Weiner. It doesn't matter what the creator says about what the ending means. His opinion doesn't matter. Your opinion matters, and here's why. And I was like, I feel like, okay, maybe that's true to an extent.
Yeah, there's something to that.
But then I also felt like, but as a critic, and I don't mean this as a dig, that he's not really a creator. So to say what you should, it's almost like, because it's not. Criticism by nature is not a creative pursuit because you're not creating something. You are trying to deconstruct something, which is the opposite of creation. So to me, it just seemed like a very weird, I don't know. That's like telling a mechanic what he should or shouldn't. Well, don't listen to that mechanic tell you about your car. Just you decide what. I don't know. It just sort of.
Well, and those guys are never gonna. Critics are really always going to piss at least half the people off. So
sure,
it's already like it's kind of a bad gig. But yeah, I think it's dodgy territory when you try to tell someone why someone did something.
Right.
I think that's one of the. I would think that would be a no-no if I'd embarked upon a career as a critic. I would probably, my first note to myself would probably be, let's not do that. To say what they meant, and even to place yourself in that kind of speculation, or to say whether it matters or not. Actually, the truth is you're looking at a piece of art. And there were probably good reasons why certain things worked and certain things did. I do think that's true. And if you can take that apart for people, but that's what you're talking. What that guy says is a bunch of shit.
Well, I didn't read the whole article, so it might have actually made a point that I just saw the headline, and of course made a snap judgment because I assumed you can't say what you. I mean, yes, as an audience, you do assign some sort of meaning to it because that's just how you relate to the world. But you can't completely discount what the person who made something. I don't think you should completely discount.
It's in it.
Yeah.
I mean, you were watching it. You're watching the inside of the
and it's kind of important to know. I think it's sort of important to know where they were coming from so you can try to understand the piece. I mean, of course, you can decide
if you don't know, maybe it wasn't very good.
Well, that's true. But I also think there's something to not Matthew Weiner not having to explain himself and just doing what he wanted to do.
There's a lot to be said about art being like a thing that it's like, the artist creates a thing and that's where they're done with it. And then now it's it's for the people to decide what they think of it. And because it's like they give it to the world and the world decides how they feel about it.
And also when you really like something, it obviously hits something very personal to you. And so you're going to interpret, you're going to attach things. So I don't disagree with that side of it. I do believe that everyone everyone should you should decide what something means to you because no one can tell you what that is. But I just feel like, but you can't completely disregard what the creator of something.
Well, it's almost like a whole separate issue if you think about it. I mean, it's like putting too much personality. It seems to me that criticism, there's like a really there's a lot of potential in it. But it's almost like in all the ways, the certain ways that we've become dumbed down. I think that's maybe one of them is in the world of criticism, because I think I remember like in English lit, they teach you that there was 3 or 4 schools of literary criticism. There's schools of literary criticism where, okay, here's, you're transparent about it. Like, here's the school that I'm coming from. Here's the way that this normally works. If you deconstruct it, so this is leading to this, and this is cadencing this way. But now we just kind of like, our reviewers just kind of go, oh, it sucked, or that was really good, or I don't know. I just don't think. And half of the criticism are about the critic,
right?
Like, it's about them as a person. People are roped in by personality and drama. But I would be interested in reading a really good piece of criticism about things that I'd done, even if they were bad, because I might learn something. But it's like we got one recently where someone was talking about the saxophone and there wasn't a saxophone in it, so I just kind of said, bothers.
Someone was talking about a non-existent.
Yeah, it's like, wow, no, that was a clarinet, so not a sax.
I do think that I think there's plenty of room for constructive criticism.
Absolutely,
but when you can exist, when you can tell that the person writing it cares about the piece and also is writing about it from the point of view of, not, like you said, not making that about themselves, but it is there's so much like criticism now has become such a form all its own of like, look how clever I am, look at the crazy metaphors I can weave to tell you how much this thing sucked, as opposed to, here's how it could be, here's what was good about it, here's what I didn't like about it, and here's how I think this could have improved. Like a really careful, contemplative study.
Yeah.
As opposed to, this was worse than Hitler, and everything about it should die in a fire. It's like, then
that's why I like sports commentating, because everybody watching knows what's should happen to the team. You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows that the goal of this thing you're about to watch is for that team to score the most runs.
Well, and at halftime, where some of those guys that are ex-ball players or ex-coaches and stuff show you, they start circling stuff and show you where. That's what I like to see if someone criticizes a piece, because I don't know everything about music, but I can sit and listen to a piece of music and generally tell you, here's why this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Now, may not be your taste and may be your taste, but at this point, the reason this is happening is this, and here's how that would change if the intention was to do this. Yep. In this case, that doesn't seem to work, especially given the context of what year it is and the way that it goes into ears in these days.
Right.
Maybe he could bring this back in 10 years and people might like it a little bit better, or this would have worked in this era where these things were thought about. I just think there's a way to do it that is interesting. I haven't seen it yet.
Right.
Personally. Like, I'm happy if someone sends me something that I learned something from that's a piece of music criticism.
Yeah, like a lot of the stuff that I do like a music podcast, and there's like a lot of people send me stuff to play, and going through it, sometimes it's like you start to listen to something blind. You don't know what kind of music it's going to be. You don't know where it's going to be coming from or where it's going to go. And, I'll find myself going like, it's like, okay, cool. Good riff. Drums are coming in pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then it's like, they'll take a left, and I'm like, oh, man, it should have been a right. That would have been so. And then like I completely take myself out of it because I wanted it to be something else than it was providing for me.
Yeah.
Which is a real silly thing to do, but like at the same time, it's like you want to like talk to me like, hey, that song?
But I think one important part of that is your blindness that you're mentioning. So if you're listening to something blind and you don't know who's doing it or where it's coming from, or even when it's recorded. I love that kind of shit where you're listening to music and it's some kind of playlist someone has and you don't even know what year it is. Then you're going, okay, was that a thing that's trying to sound like the 70s, or was that in the 70s? And if it was in the 70s, that's really pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
But in a way, why should it? Like you said, it made a left and you just didn't feel like a left.
Yeah.
And you're entitled to that. And if you can tell someone why it made the left and how maybe it might have been helpful to have made the right, since later on he made another left and two lefts don't make a right, or whatever, it works.
It's funny. Like there was last year, I went to a Fantastic Fest, a movie festival in Austin, and it was like I didn't see trailers for any of the movies I signed up for. I just saw what the title was and a one-line description of it, and I was just like, cool, sounds good. You get your tickets for a festival, and then you sit down and you just go in blind. Like it's and for a lot of the movies, I just like wrote down what my friends were seeing just because I wanted to see movies with them, and it was kind of beautiful to see something just unfold in front of you, as opposed to having an idea of what you're about to.
Like imagine how cool it would have been if you were watching Terminator 2 and you didn't know that Arnold was a good guy this time.
Yeah, it would have blown you away.
Like blown you away.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to get the same guy, and you think.
It's like someone that's like, it's like you're walking into a museum. Someone's like, okay, there's going to be, like they start describing the painting to you, and then they show you a sketch of the painting, and then you finally see the painting. You're like, okay, I thought the colors were different from the picture.
But what's interesting about this? I feel like so many people now are afraid to do that because there's such an economy of time and energy and time and attention that people will spend more of their time weighing options and going, well, I don't know. I mean, and if you tell them like this is sort of the journey that they want you to take if you go see this thing. I don't know if as opposed to just going and experiencing the thing that it's people are. I think because we're so used to just getting all the information all at once that it's actually even scary to even take an emotional chance that I might not like this or this might go in a direction that I don't know where that's going to go.
Yeah, if I watched a movie every time I got onto Netflix and just scanned through movies, I would have seen way more movies than I have because I spend like an hour looking through every title and going.
It'd be really great if Netflix or iTunes or something did basically a film spinner where you could just select a random movie and it didn't tell you anything about the genre or who, like you just had to sit down and watch a movie.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
I see most of the movies I see silent because it's on a plane and it's on the guy's laptop next to me, or it's it's on the screen somewhere and I'm not watching it. And I'll wake up. I saw one a couple weeks ago, and I kept waking up and I see a little bit of it, and it looked funny. Like I thought. Like he was like it was kind of these funny little battle scenes, and then he was fighting with his wife, and there's a funny little battle scme, and it seemed like a comedy. And then I found out it was American Sniper, so I didn't.
Oh shit! Because you saw Bradley Cooper, and you probably thought,
he's funny.
Yeah.
Baby, I'm at war. What do you expect me to do?
But I didn't.
That's not a real baby.
But because I didn't have the sound on, and I was asleep. I opened my eyes, and that's what I thought it was. And I was serious when I found out that it was a real movie, and that people didn't think it was funny. Then I was
It's funny that you didn't burst out. Bah! It looks hilarious. Look at that.
I was on a plane once. My fiance was watching Philomena, the Judi Dench movie, and I was watching a documentary about the Beatles girl that ran the fan club. And just watching my movie with the sound and then seeing her movie, you could see the sort of act breaks happening at the same time because we both started, and you could see them winding down to the end of the movie at the same time. It's
that cadence, the cadencing of things that happens.
Fascinating naturally. To me. That was like one of the more fascinating things I've ever seen on a plane.
Well, this is making me think. I actually still really interested in this criticism thing. I'm gonna learn about it.
Well,
I'm going to study about this.
What do you want to learn?
I don't know. I want to learn what they do, why they do it, and when it's good.
Well, I'm sure some people do it because they actually do care, and I'm sure some people. I mean, it's like anything.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure some people do it because it's like, oh well, I got to sign this job, and I'm supposed to do this, and it's
especially now with the amount of sites.
Of course, yeah. I'm sure some people do it because they get to see everything for like in advance, or some people do it because it's. I don't know, empowering. I mean, it's very empowering in some way, which is funny because it's like, why is this guy's opinion anymore? I mean, I always think in some cases, someone who sees everything and whose job it is to overanalyze everything is not how most people watch movies. So, is their opinion not really count for just the average moviegoer, because the average moviegoer is like, I just kind of want to go enjoy something, as opposed to an act by act, scene by scene breakdown of why something was good or not. That's what we had
with the record labels there at the end of the record business was, people making records and marketing them with very little idea of what your average person thought like, or musicians, we're all on tour. We come back and say, no, that's kind of corny. Oh, well, listen, we know our business. All right, you do that. That seems fucking stupid to me. But you can do that. And then I miss labels now. I think they were good.
Oh, you do?
I do. I liked it when when the label was good. I think that was a really amazing thing to have, like a mom and dad and editor allowed you to be the child. And now the musician has to be the grown up, and I think that's kind of sad in a way. Like you have to, have to think about your own promotion more, or if something's responsible or not. You shouldn't think about if it's responsible or not. Someone else should be beating you down, and then you can say, "No, they wouldn't let me do it." That's fine, but it keeps the musician. I think it's lamentable that didn't work out.
And do you also have to handle all the boring stuff too? Like you and your tour manager have to handle all the, I would imagine like we got to worry about insurance, we got to worry about everything, like as opposed to just like go here, play here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have to get quite into that, but yeah, I think you have to be more aware now than you used to. I mean, now I'm on I'm doing a thing with a label now with a really good one. Come to think of it. And they're made up of people who have done it before. And it's kind of fun because we're thinking really old school about this record.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been in on these kind of sort of meetings in a long time. They've been more random. Like the thing that we did with Do It Anyway was just like, you had this opportunity and we thought, oh, this will work for you guys. And no one chased that down.
Right.
It's like, that's someone's job supposedly to find those amazing things. And you did it.
Well, it's kind of annoying to have to be like you say, be the adult, but you kind of as the artist now, you really have to be also the marketer and also, you have to figure out the press to do for it, and you have to think about how it's going to affect. I mean, you have to do so many jobs that you didn't set out to be a marketer. You're like you wanted to make music, And
some people are more amazing than others, and it's a matter of making it all musical. Like I don't think any of us particularly evil. Like even self promotion. I mean, to be honest, is like if you don't want to have anything to do with it, just stay in your fucking basement.
Right.
But if you are going to do it, then everyone has their own. Like, what can you stomach? Like when all the social media stuff really blew up. I took me a long time to be okay with getting quite that close to people. I always thought it'd be good to have a little mystery there.
Sure.
Show them pictures of what you had for lunch and stuff like that. So this is a bit much, But one thing I really liked about it, and I like about it now, is that you don't have to run these ideas past a mom and dad. That's nice for me to just go, well, I'd like to do something.
Yeah.
We just do it. Like, because when we were on the road, we had that freedom. Like back when Ben Folds 5 were like making shit tons of money, we just go, well, tonight let's just do pyro at the show. And they go, okay, we'll get it. We have to get it by 4:00 because the fire marshal has to come in. It's going to cost you $25,000. Okay. That's good. When do we set it off? Anytime. Find a place that I don't expect in a ballad. Set that shit off, and they go, "What do you want?" We got squibs, concussions, and all kinds of stuff. And it was fun. We used to do that, like maybe one every 30 shows or something. Just do that, and then you can see it worked. But when it came to record making, you couldn't say, "Hey, we'd like to do this thing or that thing." That's completely irresponsible because you'd have a panel of people saying you couldn't do it. At the same time, like I say, I think that it's kind of nice to have mom and dad tell you. I like my boundaries, my parents to tell me to come in before 11 o'clock and stuff.
Well, I also think, some boundaries, I think some boundaries are good. And sometimes when you see someone break away from, because I think there is a little bit of, a lot of art stuff can be a little bit of rebellion at boundaries. And so when people give you, stupid rules to, well, you can do this, but you're not allowed to do this, and you're going to do that, it sort of forces you to be creative to come up with something, as opposed to sometimes I think when people have complete freedom, it's almost like, it feels like you needed to be a little bit tethered because that's just too, it's just too much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just too much of everything all at once. And it would have been cool if it had felt like there was a little bit like you're really kind of pushing against something.
I think you need that collaboration with circumstance. The idea, the egotistical idea that the artist is responsible for 100% of what it is you're creating I think that's pretty flawed. I mean, I think it's basically probably 51-49. It should be about 51% the artist has their say, and the 49% it could be mistakes, or it could be what they told you couldn't do, or something that was a limitation in some way that you had to collaborate with so that something is not conscious for you. But just as soon as you have the illusion that you're in control of everything, which is the problem with having 10,000 choices at your disposal when you're recording these days, there's too many choices. So you will collaborate, with Satan. And those are not good.
Right.
Satanic collaborations.
Some of them could be
good.
Yeah, they could be good for a moment.
Yeah.
And then eternal damnation.
Yeah. You don't want to be
It's working out well for King Diamond.
Hey, huh? I think so.
Sammy Davis Jr. was in the Church of Satan for a short time.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Really?
What do you have to give up?
I don't know.
His
His
eye.
eye. Yeah.
Ah.
I mean, I get it.
We were on the same wavelength there.
Setting them up, knocking them down.
Not gonna, yeah.
Takes two guys to knock down my setups.
That's right. Bring it, bitches.
Put your studs too close together. We can't get through that.
Are you good at sitting down to like writing the concerto seems like it'd be an amazing exercise in just having to, like you're saying, write 15 seconds every day, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
Rather, I've just got an article that I want to read that's something like, so the title is something along the lines of like the myth of creative genius.
Uh-huh.
That it's the idea of, no, you go in and you write a lot of stuff and a lot of it's going to suck, but it doesn't matter because that's necessary to keep the machine greased so that you can find the, like sitting around and waiting for inspiration to strike and, have your magic moment. It's kind of
I agree with that partially, but I think the problem is as soon as you frame something like that and you find a rule for it, that's precisely the time when it doesn't become true anymore when you're creating. You know what I mean? Like the moment you think it's all about your dentist appointment or, like I've mentioned the dentist
A lot.
No. Yeah. I need to think about that a little bit, but as soon as you think, oh, it's about, writing every single morning or that's going to work, then it stops working. And then you know what I mean? Because that's creativity is so, you just have to just keep chasing it. It's a big mess. And when people try to write these books and try to frame it and say how it works, if I've never seen it work the same way twice for me, I don't know if someone has the formula. But I do think that there is a muscle involved in it, in the way that you're thinking, and that there has to be something good about regularity in both forms of the word.
But also, then, like you said, there's not really a rule because sometimes it's good to take a break and then you come back and then you're super refreshed and you're like, oh wow, now I have all these ideas.
I do think you probably what this guy's talking about probably has to do a little bit with being okay with failing.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna suck. It's just something's gonna suck. And the best it was ever described to me was actually the kids' summer camp. And the guy said, okay, here's how you do it. You've got an editor in your brain. That editor, you make a deal with the editor. That's your self-conscious editor that's telling you this sucks, this is going to suck, don't do it. That guy, you ask him to leave the room. He doesn't get to be in the room, but your deal is when he comes in tomorrow, he gets to bring his hatchet. So he gets to bring a chainsaw and do whatever he wants. He can cut the whole thing. He can cut it all except for one syllable. He can do whatever he wants to, but today is yours. So you just write everything you want to, and tomorrow the asshole is coming back with his hatchet. And I think that's really useful because so many ideas are stopped. What are you afraid of? Like, what's so scary about having a shitty idea? No one else even has to hear it. But you got to, this 15 seconds a day was very interesting for me because I'm a total control freak over writing my songs. I take a long time because I have a really precise idea of what it is I'm trying to accomplish. But when you make it a 23-minute piano concerto, and I can't really imagine this, then it's all new. And I think that was actually really good for me.
And halfway through, when you wanted to quit, was it because you just felt overwhelmed by the enormity of it, or you just felt like, I'm done, I can't push any 15 seconds forward anymore?
I was just afraid I couldn't do it. I was afraid that it would suck. And I could really see the pitfalls of a rock and roll musician once again trying to enter something like classical music and turn out to be a fucking jackass. And that was scary to me. But how I came to grips with it was, I just realized that this is a way I can express something. So my whole job here is to break the law and do the things that I would like to see and hear done if I were, if I were the boss for a moment and got to have the orchestra. I had to think of it like a dream. Like, what do I want to hear? Like, what would move me? Instead of how do I prove myself, or does this need to sound like something, or should it sound like something or not? All those things are big considerations because, it's going out to an audience who are discerning about classical music. And I'm not. I don't know anything. I want to hear a thing, and I can figure out in the mess how to get it. So, and they were talking, like, when we were thinking about criticism, I was thinking, years ago there were, I think, proper critics, and then musicians, like the composition that was going on, like 18th, 19th, early 20th century is like, we don't have those tools anymore. Like, I don't know how I know now I'm a little bit in touch with how they did it. I got in touch with some dead Germans while I was.
How do you think they did it?
Well, one, I think that that it was I think there was pressure because it was the mode of the day. I think the education was better. I think that there was the idea, it's a kind of a little bit of a joke, but I don't think that, Nick Hornby and I were joking about this once. I don't think that, Rachmaninoff had to do the school run.
Right.
Fucking stand around watching soccer, go to Whole Foods and get some quinoa for his wife and bring it back. I mean, I think that there was more of an idea of you get in there and do this because this is making money for everybody. So that was more of an industry. I also think that they didn't have computers, and I think that's easier because you have to spend your life acquiring the tools to orchestrate. Just even putting pen to paper on that much staff paper with that many instruments and just to keep the lines straight. And it's like intense calligraphy just to make a page and to make it legible. And then if there's a mistake, the fuck, do they have whiteout? Like, how do they do that? Can't delete it. Damn, I'm on page 37. So fucked it up so bad. Yeah. So I think that those tools are great because they're tools of the imagination. Like when I was growing up, like I used to always stand around on construction sites waiting for my father to be finished. I was writing songs in my head, but I didn't get a chance to hear it at that moment. I would have to keep the arrangement in my head, run it over, have a way to remember it, have a way to kind of store it sort of with visual tools I was coming up with in my mind. And I think they had those. And so, part of my making this concerto, I think part of it is maybe sort of being a little sad about the way I feel like I'm dumbed down as well. And can I communicate through this? And why would I be afraid to try it? Like these were just people did this. So let me jump in and see if I can do it. And so now I've done it, and I have touched my inner dead German. So.
But also, I think there's something, when you said before, like, I'm just going to be another one of those rock guys who tries to. But who are you? I mean, like, you don't have to name names, but
yeah,
is that just a thing you created in your head because you're, I don't know. It sounds like a thing that may not really
be as much of a thing as I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I know I have seen it. And especially in performance, maybe more than the actually composing, but it's happened that way too. I think, and I think the other part is that you're saying is true. Is that I blew it up, but this is what we do when we make something: is we just flog the shit out of ourselves while we're doing it, and that's the fear part of creating, and goes back to this cat that you were talking about, who's saying, it's good to suck some and do it every single day, and I think that's right. I think those things are right. You have to not be self-conscious. There's a guy I may do some like scientific experiments with, where I'll be attached to a brain scanner and improvise and play, and they watch what parts of your brain light up as you're improvising. When you're improvising, the part of your brain that is in the front, a part of the frontal lobe that is normally associated with self-reflection, talking about yourself, shuts down.
Oh,
so when you're creating and you're improvising, you're at your least self-conscious when it's successful.
How do you know if you're improvising or just re-expressing things you've done a million times because you've been playing for so many years?
Well, see, I think that's a really interesting question, and it's something that we talked about a lot, because a lot of improvisation is actually kind of fractal. I mean, you're taking little bits and pieces of vocabulary that you've learned or heard over time, scales, forms and shapes, and you're creating bigger shapes out of these little shapes. At what point, like if you quote just a little bit of a Charlie Parker riff while you're improvising, at that moment, are you improvising just because you decided to put it there? Or if you just it's interesting. But I do think that one thing that they've done is, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think one thing they've done is have people actually learn someone's improvisation, and then someone else who improvised it was also scanned to see what part of the brain.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, when you improvise, you have a vocabulary.
Sure.
You are regurgitating the same way as we are. Like we're imitating monkeys imitating our parents talking when we were kids. My parents used to sit around with 4 microphones in the dark room all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. Can you truly be improvising when you have a lot of training? I mean, because you, like you said, you don't. Maybe part of your brain goes, I don't know where I'm going in the moment. But it's like when you watch good comedy improv.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my God, that's so incredible. Like, yeah, but they've trained for years to be able to get to the point where they can make it seem like it's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, like handling hecklers and stuff.
Yeah.
I do think you're improvising, at least in music. And maybe if you're speaking, it might be more the sentences, the things that you bring up may seem more regurgitated somehow because they're probably, I don't know why. I can imagine that might be true. But when you're playing, because you can stab things I can look at a piano and decide, I just feel like the shape, blah, 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 and play something. Oh, I should have done that.
Oh, no. Why would you do that?
I don't know. But I think before you say, look, sir, I'm working here and I don't go to where you work and knock the dick out of your mouth. When you say something like that, maybe you said that before, like you heard Dean Martin say it or something, you might say something like that. And that wouldn't be as improvisational as it would be as if you just started spouting syllables.
Right.
Which my hacking of the piano would be like, and you probably shouldn't do that.
Right.
Well, maybe you could.
You could.
You could, yeah.
For some reason, when you were talking before about when you get to page 37 and in the old days of classical music, and you get to page 37 and you fuck something up and you got to go back.
Yeah.
It reminded me that we were taking a tour of this castle in Salzburg, and we were in the Archbishop's quarters, like what would have been the Archbishop's quarters, which was absolutely stunning. And there was a door, this gorgeous door, and they said on the other side of this door was his library. And we got a private, we're gonna, they said, we're gonna show you this library, but most people don't get to see it. And the door opened, and it was a room the size of a broom closet, and there were 3 tiny shelves, and we're like, "This is a library?" And they're like,
"For little kids."
Well, what of course didn't immediately occur to me was like, yes, but you have to understand the making of a book in the 1600s.
Big deal.
Someone basically every page was a fucking art piece.
Yeah.
And so to make a thick book for you to even have that was so unbelievably rare. So for this person to have even 5 books would have made them this would have been the biggest library in the area by a lot.
Crazy.
So it hadn't even, and it just how for granted everything is now. Like all the delivery systems are automatic and they're expected.
Crazy.
And, and so.
Yeah, dude needed a Kindle. For those 5 books.
Just for those 5. And the Kindle would have even been heavy because the books were so
That's right.
were so dense.
Well, I mean, tax records were like that too. Like they were, they had to fit everything on one piece of paper that they possibly could, right around the corners. That's why they couldn't find Shakespeare's whereabouts, or that's what Bill Bryson said anyway.
Yeah, and now, of course, everything is. So you think that that's actually changed the way that people
Yes.
even approach music, because there's so many technical things they don't even have to worry about anymore.
Yeah, you can see when there's a technological advancement that gives you more choices and makes it easier. It's tough. That's really hard on the soul, and it gives you fewer tools inside to make quicker decisions and that gives you confidence. Even with recording, it's like when you're recording on analog, and when there were fewer tracks, even when you just had to do something in one take, you got to make a decision. That's really empowering, and it's also. You better be good. So you better show up and have practice. So practicing is something that you do. And all those tools are really useful for making music. Like, it might seem like a good idea to leave loads and loads of ideas and options. And I've done that before when I had to. But it's actually pretty tough. And you come back a day later and you're like just sorting through all this almost good stuff. Lots of almost good stuff. I think it's the tools that they had when they were composing. Now it's very sonic, oral. You listen to what you've input in the computer, and you can put that on a paper if you want to from that. But there's programs that you can do this with. I do a combination of, sometimes I have stuff that I've written out on staff paper or somewhere, or voice notes or whatever I can do. But ultimately, I'm also using that tool. But when you put it on the staff paper and you look at it, you can see, it's like a helicopter. You can see, the violas that are doing this, so this is going to be over the cellos. That's good. These guys are doubling. I don't want that. I can see that. But like these days, you have to listen and, something wrong, and then you're using your ear more. And I think that tool is incredible luxury to look at the page, but getting it to the page is a lot of work, and they just didn't mind doing the work in the day because that's what you had to do. Yeah. So I think that tool is incredible for making that kind of music. And as much as people might say, we've got these amazing tools in the way of computer, I would say that the tools, that Ravel was using were far superior to be able to write it out like that. To me, once you've done your training and once you've been, caned your whole life and beat with a stick in order to get to that place, what you can do is a luxury. We don't know that luxury now.
Do you try to force yourself to do it old school?
I think you run into that problem there's this one photographer that kept on shooting with an old press camera at basketball games for a while. And he wasn't getting anything because back in the day when everyone was doing that and they were arriving at the same time, there's a certain expectation of audition now, like you have to play things for people. I think living in this world and day and age, that'd be a very, very tough thing to do. I can do it a little bit. I can get away with a little bit because I'm not like a composer as my day job, like to compose for the orchestra. So I can do it a little bit, but I don't see how, as a professional, you'd be making your money doing lots of soundtracks or do lots of scores. Well, those people want to hear what the score sounds like today, but you don't have the orchestra, so you do it in the can. And whoever does the best can sounding music is probably going to get more work. So it's an important skill to have. But that skill of making your canned music sound amazing seems like a little bit of a detour to me, because that's not actually the music. It's not finished yet. I would rather have the tool of being able to whip that shit out on paper, and they can't hear it. You don't get to hear it till you show up to the premiere or whatever. You don't get to hear it.
I just think Mozart was running around workshopping. I'm going to go to an open mic tonight with my orchestra.
Yeah, well, but I think that did exist a bit too, which is also a whole different thing. Is that you are more accustomed to hearing orchestras play your shitty ideas. When you hear a shitty idea coming out of an orchestra, that hurts because like you think this is going to work, and the computer will even tell you it works. Then you show up, but because we have that audition. it's like you audition through the computer, and then you get one shot with the orchestra. Really, if you were a Kapellmeister and you were working, your day job was to just be playing at the church, playing all kinds of music, you'd know those things. When I'm on stage, and for the last 10 years, or maybe the last 5 years playing with orchestras, I've made sure I make up a song every night that I orchestrate on the spot. And it's been amazing for my ear. It's been amazing for things because I hear something and I have to figure out right that minute with them looking at me how to do that. So, well, start with the double basses, play this line. Okay, French horns, add that. Now, you
do that live at the shows?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that really informs you because then you actually get to hear it in real time rather than what the computer says. And I'm not really as down on computers as I sound like I am. When someone says, wow, those smart people a long time ago made better stuff, I would argue that those smart people had more luxury than we do now. I think that we're starved for the luxury.
It's funny to hear that convenience, the convenience and being expeditious is actually sapping the luxury of being able to.
I think that burden is a particularly tragic burden for someone who's composing. But like anything, like people will get their great ideas out there. So people will make great music with what we have, even though I'd think it's less than what we used to have, which was education and creativity, which are the two most amazing tools that you could possibly have in music. And now the computer is supposed to take care of some of that stuff. And that's really, that really sucks. That's like having to go into a boxing match and no one trains you or anything. Just like step right up and get your ass kicked. That's what I felt like when I was composing, because I just felt like I didn't have those tools.
Well, your tour starts.
Isn't that a great way to sell my record? I made this thing and I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I actually think it's one of the best things I've ever thought about making. I'm actually very proud of it. And I think the record is actually a serious record. I like it.
And where's the tour start?
Oh, it just continues. It's
always.
Just like,
it never ends.
Well, tomorrow see him at the Greek.
Tomorrow's at the Greek. And then we play Y Music and me. We play Royal Opera House in a couple of months, and then we're off for a while, and then we come back in January, and then I play with orchestras until the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
So I'm playing with orchestras mostly, and then Y Music, but Y Music is fucking revelation. These guys are they're all about 30 years old. They're the best musicians I've ever played with or heard play. They're fucking just great, and they're great people too, and we're doing a thing I haven't heard before, so I get to be involved with and create something that. Because most time you make a record, I mean, quite honestly, I think we all feel like we know that it's been done, But every once in a while you get to make one, like the record I made with Shatner. I didn't feel like that had been made before.
Right.
The first Ben Folds 5 record, I didn't really feel like that record had been made before. So this one I feel like that way about. That would be like my third one. I listened to it, come back, and I'm like, I don't think I've heard that before. I mean, it's not like from outer space, but there's a thing that is unique about the record, which is because I gave myself so many weird restrictions. We didn't have a bass. We didn't have any electric instruments or anything, and I was trying to rock. So it's hard to rock that way, but we do. We pulled it off.
Nice. Well, it's always good to see you, and always, and I know often our paths almost kind of cross.
I know.
Like, I'm in LA, and I'm like, fuck, I'm in Chicago, But it's always nice when we can actually sort of come together. How long are you gonna be in town?
I'm leaving right after the Greek. And it happened, as it turns out, I'm leaving tomorrow as well. In both realities.
Tomorrow when the podcast goes up, and then tomorrow.
This isn't one of those shows where you really try to pull the shit over on people. That
No.
They
know. Like, they know.
That always cracks me up when you're doing that. Like, no, stop. Okay, yeah, it's a nice day today. What kind of, you don't even know.
Okay, could you also say it's too bad that it's raining today? Because we don't know what the weather's going to be like, and we'll just edit in whatever the actual one is.
I've had a place here for 3 years, between here and Nashville, and it's only rained on 2 days since I've been here.
Are you gonna be at Bonnaroo?
Yeah.
I'll be there at Bonnaroo. I'm performing on Saturday.
Great. I think I'm on Friday.
You're on Friday, right? Yes, that's right.
Let's do it.
I'm coming to see you at Bonnaroo.
Shit, yeah.
Now I want to.
Bonnaroo's the best, isn't it?
I haven't done it yet.
Oh, you're gonna love this. I bet you we're doing. Well, if we're all on the same day, we're not doing the press tent the same day.
I don't know how much. I don't know if I'm. I mean, because I honestly think that I think that the comedy stage. I don't know if it's like, oh, you're doing the comedy stage, so you should probably do a ton of prep. Like, I don't know if it's as important as being there as a musician. I don't know if it's just
it's a big thing there. The comedy is very valued there. Like that's been always that, and kind of like improvisation and music has been that's what makes that a better festival.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'm excited.
Festival.
I mean, it's Tennessee's my home state, so I've never been to Bonnaroo, and for you, it's Nashville. It's just outside of Nashville, right? It's near Murfreesboro, isn't it?
I tell you what, you might want to take advantage of. We'll have our tour bus there, so when you get sick of like sliding around in mud backstage, and just come grab a bunk and get some sleep.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, seriously, it's going to be right behind the stage like for 2 days. So
does it usually rain during the festival?
No, but it's a festival. Even if it hasn't rained,
there'll be mud.
There's mud.
They fly it in the way that guy does snow at those parties here. Just like blow mud everywhere.
Or it's just people.
Bonnaroo, blowing mud.
It's just people like peeing on the ground or dumping their beers on the ground or just body sweat.
It's something gross. It's not good. Whatever. It's
whatever's in the mud is
concert juice.
Concert juice.
That's got to be the name of something. That should be the name of a festival.
It's a drink they sell at the gathering of the Juggalos.
Concert juice.
Yeah.
No, they drink Faygo.
Down with the clowns?
Yeah. Down with the
clowns.
I'm trying to bring this up before we leave, which Katie can edit smoothly in.
Just a song before.
Oh,
what is that?
That's what you were just singing. Just a summer morning, traveling twice the speed of sound. It's easy to get burned. What is that?
We don't even know what the chorus is.
And she was gone. What is? That's isn't that Crosby, Stills and is that Crosby, Stills and Nash? You got it on your phone? Yes. This song was very popular when I was so groovy. So groovy.
I don't remember it sounding like that.
I completely remember. Here we go. Just a song
before I go, to whom it may concern, traveling twice the speed of
That's a non sequitur.
It's easy to get burned.
Well, you can't travel twice the speed of sound. I mean, as a person.
We had to get back home, and when we opened up the door, I had to be alone. She helped me.
Oh my God, this song reminds me of being a kid.
She stands before my eyes.
I remember having more wind chimes.
Into the friendly skies. Maybe that's coming up.
I think it must be in there because that's what I remember about it.
I held her for so long. She finally looked at me in love, and she was gone.
Chimes? No? Chimes? It's so like white man's funk.
Yeah, I think probably is.
Just let him vamp. Okay, we get it.
You want to check out, wait for the chat?
I'm thinking maybe I just created that. I thought it was at least.
Okay.
Really?
It's easy to get burned.
Not one instance of chimes.
It was just your local radio DJ.
DVD.
Here's that Chili Gonzalez thing.
Yell at someone in the street. You hear this, for example, on another pop music masterclass favorite, I'm So Fancy.
Oh, the internet.
Well,
I got enough.
we got enough.
No, but that's not the part.
Have you had him on?
No. But I would.
And it's the same with this Taylor Swift. We have this beautiful descending melody. The chords just aren't important. The melody is dominant. It's the picture. And if we add chords, it's just the frame. And it off. Yeah, she repeats it twice, but there's a subtle difference. The first time, the emphasis is on shake. Shake it off. Second time, shake it off. And this just kind of wraps the bow on it. It's just like the Chariots of Fire. You have 3 times repeating a distinct shape and then tying it up with the bow. That's called rhythmic displacement, by the way, and you can also hear it in... And this rhythmic displacement gives you the feeling that the song is kind of speeding up because the repetition comes sooner than you expect. And this is what you need when you're finishing off a chorus, and Taylor Swift knows it. Go with the title of the song, say it twice, and make it snappy.
It sounds nice.
It already sounds nice too. Yeah. Great.
This song, Self-Portrait.
I love just watching a really good piano player because his hands are so delicate on the key. Like it seems effortless.
Yeah. Until that day you can't button his shirt anymore.
Because he wore a bandage.
That's right, it's coming.
What's the guy's name?
Chili Gonzalez.
He has his own records out, though, you said?
Oh, yeah. No, he's fantastic. Check out the song Self-Portrait. He's rapping over the orchestra.
Chile or Chile?
Chili.
Chili. Chilly. He's rapping over the song. I'm glad you called, but I'm not home, but I'll be back before too long. You gotta wait for the beep. You gotta leave your name. You gotta leave your number. Crazy Calls? No? Remember Crazy Calls?
No.
You remember Crazy Calls? The crazy cassette tape that you could use on your outgoing answering machine in the 80s?
No. That sounds good, though.
It's good-ish. Wait for, and then there was the rap one. Come on,
you should probably find those and make them your outgoing message.
eBay.
No, well, they're just online. Like you
great.
could just find Crazy Calls. I didn't invent Crazy Calls. I'd be really rich if I had invented Crazy Calls.
I somehow don't think that's true. You would have blown all your money on Coke in the 80s. And then you just be telling kids at a Starbucks you were the Crazy Calls guy.
Okay, so I'm just
Before taking the order.
just one more thing. I'm gonna let everybody go. But this is this commercial.
To use your Crazy Calls, simply place the speaker of your cassette player or stereo.
That's not the commercial. Wait, that's not the commercial. That's just telling you how to use Crazy Calls. Hang on a sec. Crazy Calls.
Kids remember
Is it spelled with K's, maybe? That's a problem.
It might be spelled with K's. Original Crazy Calls commercial. Here we go. Here it is. It's only a minute. It's just 1 minute. It's going to feel like.
Hey, how are you? Sorry that I'm not at home. But when I get the message on my telephone, you'll be the first one on my list.
Crazy Calls, a tape of 7 different songs and funny recordings for answering machines.
I am very sorry that I'm not at home to take your call.
Only $14.95.
When I will get right back to you. Leave your message at the tone.
Give someone the gift of gab for their answering machine.
For a friend, what you've actually done is bought a one-way ticket to the answering machine zone.
Nobody's home. Nobody's home. I'm glad you called, but I'm not home. But I'll be back before too long.
Crazy Calls, a tape of 7 different songs and funny recordings for only $14.95.
Wait for the beat. You gotta leave your name. You gotta leave your number.
To order?
Wait for the beat.
Yep. There you go.
When I get home.
There you go.
Ben's next album.
Isn't that ending? Isn't that ending with the major seventh? Isn't that when they do?
That's good. That's right. That is a 7.
Nice.
Good job, Christopher.
Thanks, Jonah.
You're learning.
All right. Enjoy your burrito, everyone. Get out. Everyone get out.
Fuck out of here.
Get out of this. Get out of my studio. Your studio.
It is until the rental's done.
F. 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 A.
Now leaving Nerdist.com. Enjoy your burrito.